Holy smokes. I mean, that is a friggin' juicy rib and a meaty rib. So when I started this video, it was supposed to be called Hot and Fast St. Louis style ribs. They were cooked hot, but they didn't cook so fast. They still turned out absolutely delicious. Let me show you how we made them. What's up, barbecue fans? Today we're doing hot and fast St. Louis style ribs. As you can see, I started these actually 2 days ago. Here's what we did. First off, we got ourselves some Costco St. Louis style ribs. Open up the package. I had 3 of these. I'm making a couple videos, so you only see 2. All I did is I looked at them and I trimmed off a little bit of fat. And on these ones, the one end bone was like right at the edge. So no one's gonna get any meat on that. So what I did is I took my knife and I trimmed out that end bone on both racks. And then once I was happy with the way things looked, we started to season. Now look, you're gonna notice right away, I did not remove the membrane. On St. Louis style ribs, I don't, especially when we're doing something like we're doing today, which is hot and fast. They're gonna get a lot of hot air, we're gonna crisp up the membrane, and it's gonna be fine, trust me. There's a lot of fat under there, and we're gonna keep that in there for moisture. Then I got out my slow and low Memphis pit from Grow Mix. That's their seasoning. I love this, been using it for a long time. It's in my Amazon store, and I buy like 12 at a time because I go through so much of it, but it is never disappointing. It's delicious on ribs, it's delicious on pulled pork, pork butts. I mean, it will not disappoint you. It's from McCormick's, I know, not a mainstream barbecue thing, but let me tell you, I've given away probably over 50 packages of that to different people, and everyone has loved it. So take my word for it, all right? So then what I did is I put these in the fridge. They've been in the fridge for about 30 hours, 28 hours or so. You want to go at least 12 hours, but if you can go 24, a little bit more. I think 2 days is probably a little much for ribs because it's so skinny, but if it is steak, you can absolutely go 2 days, no problem. But give it a shot. That allows the seasoning to get into the meat, right? We want a nice flavorful rib, but we also want a nice smoky rib. So I've just fired this guy up. We're at 80 degrees right now. It is just going through its startup sequence. What I did here is we put in some Bear Mountain barbecue oak pellets. Then I got my collapsible smoke tube, collapsed that down. I filled up half of it with oak pellets. It's only gonna burn for probably an hour and a half, right? Because I didn't fill it all the way full on that half. It's about 3/4 of full. So that'll give us generally about an hour and a half of smoke, right? My kind of rule that I like to use when it comes to smoke tube is I try not to do it more than half the cook, right? Then what I did is we put a water pan in here. Why are we using a water pan? Well, number one, it's gonna add some moisture. Number two, we're gonna run at 275. It's cranking up. We're gonna use that heat underneath the firebox is right underneath the water pan, and it's just gonna help diffuse the heat a little bit, and it's gonna add a lot more moisture in there. And that way we're not gonna overcook our ribs from the bottom. We're gonna put them on the top rack. I like the top rack on a Yoder because heat rises, there's all the smoke. I like to maximize my smoke, right? And then what I did is I lit my pellet tube. Look, get yourself a torch like this. I always get the yellow tanks because they burn hotter. You're gonna light it for about a minute. Get it going really good and then let it burn for a little while. Lots of people say, hey, my smoke tubes always run out. The reason why they run out or they burn out and they don't burn through the entire tube is because you're not letting them go long enough, right? So get a good amount burning and then let them burn for a good minute or two, even sometimes 3 or 4 minutes. And that way a whole bunch of pellets will be burning and then the whole tube will burn no problem. As we're going through our startup sequence, we're kind of using that 0 to 400 wing thing that I did, right? Link the video up here, but we're allowing a whole bunch of extra smoke from the pellet tube and from our startup sequence. So we're gonna throw these guys on. Now the one thing I'll tell you that I'm doing here is we are putting the thickest part near the stack, right? That's gonna cook the slowest. This is your hot zone. We've got a negative pressure point there and the air kind of speeds up and it's a little hotter. And then I'm just gonna kind of squish these together so that they're gonna cook. We're leaving a nice little gap here and we're gonna go. I don't want the water underneath steaming, right? I got them off to the side. So if you're using more, use a smaller container. And all we're gonna do now, this is hot and fast, we're gonna let those roll for 3 hours. About an hour in, we'll have a look, see if we're tacked up and we might give them a spray. But when we get to that point, I'll show you what it looks like. So we're an hour and 45 minutes in. We had some rain come in, so I did give these guys a spray one time while it was raining. Now what we're gonna do here is we're gonna give them another spray. So you can see all the surface is dried up, except for a little bit of pooling in there, okay? I sprayed these about 1 hour in. They were already nice and dry, so the goal here is that we wanna make sure that our rub is not gonna wash off as we add some moisture. The other thing we're gonna do, because we're coming in the home run and we've already sped up the meatier part, I'm gonna take these guys and I'm gonna just turn them around. Damn, it's hot. Should put some cotton gloves on. So you can already see we've got a little bit of pullback here. And I'm not gonna put them too close. And now what we'll do is we'll give them another spray. That's that. I can't remember if I mentioned it earlier. I don't think I did, but lots of people ask me about the sprayer. Give you a little shot out here. This is in my Amazon store. It's in the link in the description. I get asked about it all the time. I've tried a bunch. This one works great, and I think it's like 30 bucks or something. It's not really that expensive, but it's got good pump and it holds 1.5 liters of liquid. It's been about 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's time to have another check-in here. Pull these guys out a little bit. First thing we're gonna do is give them another spray. These guys are pretty meaty. Now that we're starting to see a little bit more bone pull back, I can start to see the thickness of this. The pork has shrunk up a little bit, but most importantly, let's see how we feel. We're about 160 right now, 156. Make sure you're touching between the bones and you're getting the center of the meat, right? The other thing is we're looking for tenderness right now. Now these are actually feeling not too bad. Now here's something interesting, okay? I'm doing another video on the Komodo Joe. I'm working on some ribs right there, and they are the exact same ribs out of this bag. I seasoned them together, right? These guys are about 5 to 6 degrees less temperature-wise, but they're more tender. Okay, that's a very important lesson to point out here. Whoops. Like, you can't just go by temperature when you're cooking anything, right? The only thing, well, let me rephrase that. Barbecue, right? Ribs are gonna be finished at different times. Brisket's gonna be finished at different times. Pork butt gonna be finished at different times. Now, if we're gonna do a chicken breast or a chicken or a turkey, there are some hard set rules there, right? You wanna pull it off between 150, 155, let it carry over, and you're gonna end up with some juicy chicken. You're not looking for tenderness there, you're looking for temperature. If you do a steak, you're looking for temperature, right? But when it comes to barbecue, we're looking for a certain texture, and texture does not translate directly to temperature. Certainly there are some guidelines out there, but this is so much more than just a temperature tool, right? This is a probing tool. You've got to just get experience with feeling how tender that meat is, and it should feel like peanut butter. And as you get really, really close, it's like warm peanut butter. There's almost like no give. That's how we know that we're there. But you got to keep checking it, because once you get to a certain point, it'll blow past and be overcooked pretty darn quickly. So just a little insight there. It just so happens I'm doing another video and the difference between the pork is substantial. Let me ask you a question. You ever had one of those situations where you promised your spouse dinner would be done at a certain time, and for whatever reason it just doesn't want to cook? Well, today we're doing hot and fast ribs, and we're at 4 hours and 52 minutes. Can't make this stuff up. I mean, I gave an extra 30 minutes, or I added an extra 30 minutes because we started with an ice cold smoker and I put them on from that time. But holy smokes. Anyhow, let me show you what we're working at. All that's happened here is the meat is just squished in and plumped up, and they're just some meaty ribs. They just taken their time. I mean, you can't rush barbecue, but I'm kind of embarrassed by my title, but I'm gonna stick with it. You can feel here, we've got feel that we're looking for, nice and tender. They're 186, 190, somewhere in there. A couple lower spots there, but overall they're feeling pretty good. 186. Now the one way that you can tell that these are done is if you pull them up in the middle and both ends touch the grate still, then you're in pretty good shape, right? So you're gonna use your thermometer, get a little bit of a temperature range, but more importantly, you want like peanut butter to a warm peanut butter, and that's how you're gonna know they're done. Do not cook them to a specific temperature. That's not the way it works. And as we learned today, I have done tons of ribs this exact same method, and they've been done in 3 hours. These ones are just they're a long time. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull them over, and I'm gonna show you here, look, that membrane is nice and crisped up. It's not gonna be a problem at all. That's hot. So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna sauce the back of it. I'm probably gonna use a lot of this sauce. Today I'm just gonna use this Cosmos Q's competition sauce, something a little different. This one in the back is a little crunchy, I will be honest about that. Should have rotated them around a little bit. Guess I should bring you in so you can see what I'm doing. Membrane is nice and crisped up. Nice little coating of sauce on the back here. Try and get the edge. And I'm actually gonna flip these right away because they'll continue to tack up the other way. And we'll go ahead and we'll sauce this other side. Want some ribs with your sauce there? I'm a little overboard. Paint that over here. The sauce tastes good. I haven't tried it on ribs before, but it is a little darker presentation-wise. I would like more of a brighter red sauce. Not that that's gonna affect the flavor. So now what we'll do is we're just gonna let these tack up for 5 or 6 minutes. So it's been 6 minutes. We are going to rest our ribs now. The sauce is actually redder than you think once I actually can see what I'm looking at the light. So it's a good color. What we're gonna do now is we are just going to wrap this like so. I don't wrap my ribs anymore when I cook them. That's it, right? So we're gonna let them vent out the ends there, and we're gonna let these rest for a good 20 minutes. We'll get our other one off here. You can tell they're just about to break, so you know you're in good shape there. We will turn off our Yoder, scoot you down there a little bit. Now we got our doggy bags. I'm gonna let these rest for 20 minutes and then we'll cut in and have a look how we did. So it's been 20 minutes. Let's have a look and see how we did. I'm gonna share one thing with you. The one rack that was in the back, it's closer to the heat, right? It's right against that wall. The heat comes up there. It did get a little charred on the bottom. I don't know which is which, but we'll have a look, right? But I want to share that with you because it's an educational moment. I thought these would be done in 3 hours, so I didn't think to rotate them front to back. But on a longer cook, when you're cooking with higher temperatures, the one that's closest to the wall is definitely going to cook a little quicker. So just be aware of that and adjust. That's what barbecue's all about. Just adjusting on the fly. Obviously, this whole video was an adjustment for me considering it's not hot and fast the way it was supposed to be, but that's all right. I'm sure the end result will be the same. Is that the charred one? Yeah, I got a little charred on the one side. Yeah, you can see, all right? A little charred just on the edge there. Gonna be a little crunchy, yep. So, I'll enjoy that, myself later. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to try this one out here and see how we did. So we're gonna go to the back, find our bones here. Got some nice moisture in there. See some glistening here. Got a shot there. There you go. Side. I always cut one side close to the bones. Let's see what I got. That's the side that's close to the bone. You know what I did? I cut close to the bone on both these ones. One of the things I like to do is cut close to the bones on one of them, and then you get some extra jumbo pieces there. And I did that by mistake on this one. But you can see we got a nice clean bite through there. Nice moist rib. Had to go wipe my face off for final thoughts. This is a little bit of a messy rib. I like it saucy and it was all over my face. As you can see, we've got clean bite through. Look, these took longer than I expected, but they're still a great rib. They're still cooked properly, just they're really, really thick. And as they cooked, they shrunk up and they got fatter and fatter. And I didn't actually think they were as meaty. I was kind of disappointed with them when I pulled them out of the package. But as they started to cook, they just got thicker and thicker and they took longer to cook. It is what it is. Look at the juiciness on this rib. Jesus Murphy. That is barbecue, folks. So I'll probably have to come up with a new title for this video, but either way, hopefully you got some value out of this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up while you're down there. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you soon.